All right, welcome to Black Swan Revelations. My name is Shane. I'm your host, and today we're going to dive into this Cybertruck explosion that happened on January 1st. We're going to talk about it. This is basically hot off the presses, so I thought I couldn't wait till tomorrow because I'm actually my car is actually being serviced and it's ready to get picked up. So I'm going to go pick it up tomorrow morning, and I thought I would get this out of the way and talk about this. So let's just dive right in. We got lots to cover. So welcome. If you're new to this channel, make sure and hit subscribe, leave a comment, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to dive in here. So let's just go into a press conference here, and let's figure out what's going on here. Let's see what's going on. Let me go to, where is it here? Actually, let's just go to the explosion itself and have a look at it. Let's have a quick little peek at it. This again happened on January 1st, so I want to take a look at this.
Protect your small business with Zinsurance. Zinsurance policies start at only $19 per month. Trusted by 250,000.
Copy. I just heard a boom.
That is insane. Let's just back it up again. So this car pulled up, and the reports from the police said that this car had only pulled up for maybe 10 minutes or so. Notice, I didn't notice this guy before. I've watched this a couple of times, but I'm just noticing this now. On the right side, notice there's a guy with luggage. There's a guy standing there with a mask, which feels like it's kind of weird today in this day and age to wear a mask, but I get it. People don't feel safe outside because you're by yourself. There's no one else around you, so you got to protect yourself. You got to wear a mask. But I just noticed this. I didn't see this earlier when I watched this probably about 20 times. But let's just have a look at this and see what's going on here.
Copy.
Wow. Did that guy get... That is crazy, man. He was standing there when it exploded. Wow. It looked like he ducked down behind his luggage.
Copy. I just heard a boom.
I'd have to try and see it from another angle, but I didn't notice the guy leave. There was no body or anything. Obviously the driver died, but that's crazy, man. Just zoom in here, see if I see anything else. Let's back that up. Let's watch that again. Guy is standing right there in the blast zone, and he has all his stuff. And then obviously it's kind of weird that they actually cut away right when you can almost see if someone's there. Crazy. Let me just see if there's any trying to see if there's any other footage here. Let's just back up here. That was kind of a weird angle. I never noticed that guy there before. It's crazy. Crazy. Let's see if we can see something else. Okay, let's just watch this. This is the press conference here. So let's hear what they have to say.
Charging stations and confirm any names to you as I sit here today, because I cannot do that with 100% certainty of who the individual is. What I can tell you is we do know the truck was rented in Colorado. We're able to trace that truck through the Tesla charging stations, and it arrived here in Las Vegas this morning at about 7:30 and went up and down Las Vegas Boulevard before immediately pulling into the Trump Towers. Unfortunately, there were 7 people that reported injuries during this incident. All of them still remain as minor injuries and were treated at UMC. I would like to thank the Resorts World because, as you know, we had to close down the Trump and evacuate it, as well as the Fashion Show Mall. And the Resorts World was very gracious in taking those hundreds of individuals in over their house.
Let's just see here. See if they talk about. I'll go back to this interview, but I'm trying to look at, see if they have the footage here. They don't on this clip. Let me just find another clip here. Let's see here. Not that one, not that one. This is kind of interesting. They said, actually right here, this is the interview. So let's just.
If you want a B2B marketing agency, tell me if this sounds familiar. One, it takes so much time to serve current clients that we
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Mayhill. I'm the sheriff of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. I'm here to give you really a brief update on what occurred on Las Vegas Boulevard this morning. As you know, we just had our New Year's Eve event where we successfully protected the city, where over 400,000 people were here last night. And that changed this morning at about 8:40 when a 2024 Tesla Cybertruck pulled into the area valet of the Trump International Hotel. Very quickly thereafter that, the driver, who was the sole occupant of the truck, we saw what looked like maybe some sort of smoke, and then the truck exploded. Smoke was coming from inside of the truck after we noticed the flash and the explosion, and I'm going to show you that first video. That's the Cybertruck parked right in front of the doors. Can you play that again, Carlos? So the individual that was in that truck is obviously deceased, still in the truck as we speak here today. Our fire department folks, Engine 12, a number of others, you'll hear from one of the fire chiefs here in just a moment, arrived very quickly along with my officers. And obviously we knew that we had a much larger event than just a vehicle fire. And so there's going to be a drone video that plays to my left again. You'll see as the fire initially, they covered it with the tarp to try to get it to go out. Once the fire went out through the suppression efforts of the fire department, you'll see some of the evidence in the back of the vehicle. So those are gasoline canisters. They are camp fuel canisters and large firework mortars.
I'd never heard of firework mortars before, but since we're here, let's go have a look at what they're talking about. If we go over here, you can actually go to websites and they have all these artillery shells that I believe were in the back of this vehicle here. So these are jumbo size 60-gram canister shells. They got all kinds. They're Inferno shells, Firehawk, American Avengers, all this kind of stuff. I don't know a lot about fireworks, but it's interesting. That's the first time I ever heard of mortar shells, mortar fireworks. So I wanted to come back to this. Let me just back up here. Let me go over here. I want to find this one. Let's have a look at this here. This is interesting right here. So look at this. The sheriffs were not sure. They weren't 100% sure what detonated. Oh, let me go to this thing so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So the sheriff's department, they weren't sure what had actually set off the explosion, because they had a reporter asking them, was there a detonation device? That's too much like Hollywood to have a detonation device. Instead, I present to you a mortar round without the tube. This is stuff that you can probably purchase somewhere. But look at this. Watch how fast this sucker explodes.
This here's a mortar round. I was always wondering what would happen if you lit one without the tube. Well, here it goes. Holy shit.
Wow. Did you see that?
The faster your company grows,
That was crazy. I know somebody's going to get upset because the ads, and you're right. I should get an ad blocker because when I'm doing some of these videos, some of them pop up, but hey, whatever. Did you see that? How fast that exploded? That was nutso. That was crazy. Let's see it again.
Well, here it goes.
Wow. So imagine that in the back of the Cybertruck. That is insane. It's crazy. Let me just see now. Let's just go over here. Out of curiosity, I'm curious to see what Tesla's stock is at right now. This is kind of interesting right here. They are at 403 in the past 5 days. They've gone down. So this is the last 5 days. They were at 440, now hovering at 403. Let's see what they were a month ago. So at the beginning of December, they were down to 350, and then they shot up to 479, and then now they're going back down. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tomorrow morning when the stock market opens up, do you think Tesla prices will go up or down? That's going to be what people are going to be asking. Like, are people going to be afraid of buying a Cybertruck or renting one? Every time you see one of these trucks go by, I think you're going to be thinking about, whoa, are these things going to explode? Obviously, it's not the Cybertruck that caused the damage. It was actually the person inside that basically loaded up the Tesla truck. But what I find interesting is the truck actually survived the blow. Like, it actually, like, when you think about it, like, look at the windows. Nothing happened to these windows here. They're intact. So if I was Elon Musk, tomorrow morning, I would do a press conference and say, thank God for the engineering of this Tesla Cybertruck, because if it was any other vehicle, that front entrance would have been blown wide open. But in fact, what had happened was all the fireworks and everything in the back of this truck blew upwards. I don't know what happened to the guy to the right. That's kind of an enigma. I never saw him the first 20 times I watched the video. I was looking at the truck. But then all of a sudden you see this guy standing off to the side, and I'm shocked that he's not dead. I'm shocked because they said only one person died, and that was the person in the truck. Now, my question is, if you're a terrorist, there's a feature in these Tesla vehicles. You can argue with the Cybertruck and all these other models, that there's a feature called the summon feature. Basically, you can summon the vehicle to you within 60 meters. So I wonder if there was anyone in there. They say there was. I believe them. But I think if this were to happen a year or 2 years from now, This is something that you could see where people could just load up their car with explosives, press the button, and allow the car to drive forward into a building, and people would be harmed. We're not far away from this. And I said this on my channel on December 31st. I said, I'm expecting something to happen January 1st. Wasn't sure what it is, but it would be like a black swan event, something that we didn't see coming. Now, the criteria for a black swan event, it has to be highly improbable or highly unpredictable. This fits category number 1. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this. I'm actually surprised how easy it is. You could just bring a vehicle to the front of Trump Tower and then blow up a truck. I'm actually surprised. I would have thought somebody would have been outside to greet the person at the door, especially because Trump has already been there was already an assassination attempt on him basically twice, as far as we know. And you're still not taking safety precautions. You're not protecting Trump Plaza, like the most famous building in the world in Las Vegas, Trump Tower. It's by itself. It wouldn't be hard to guard. It wouldn't be hard to just have somebody standing outside the door. And when you see a Tesla truck vehicle like this pull up, maybe you have somebody inspect it first and just say, hey, look, like we're kind of I don't know. It's tough because you have the public, and Trump does not want any heat when it comes to security. He doesn't want double security, triple security. He doesn't want any of that stuff at all. So now you have him basically being shot at a couple times. Now you have his building being virtually blown up, or arguably blown up, like out in the front in the lobby, by a Cybertruck, which is owned by Elon Musk, a good buddy of his. They just seem like they're buddies all the time, everywhere they go. I'm actually surprised Elon Musk hasn't come out in a video press conference yet. I'm expecting him to do something tomorrow, to say something about the engineering of this car. Again, because of the nature of the car, that this could have been a lot worse if it was another vehicle. Because otherwise, if you don't corral this, I feel like the stocks or the shares of Tesla are going to drop tomorrow until Elon figures out a way to spin this. Because every time you see a Cybertruck, you're going to be wondering now, is there fireworks? Is there canisters? Is there explosives in the back of the Cybertruck? And they're tinted windows. You can't see clearly the driver. I know, because when I was in Arizona a few months ago, I walked out of a restaurant with my family and I was just kind of kidding around, teasing. I saw a black Cybertruck and I said, oh, I forgot my keys inside the restaurant for my Cybertruck. And I was kind of kidding around because there were people walking towards us and stuff. And then a lady behind me said, oh, you like our truck? And I was like, in my head, I was thinking, okay, they're going to do the same joke as me, but it was actually their Cybertruck. So I went, oh, this is yours? And they're like, yep, we just bought it a few months ago and all this kind of stuff. I said, how do you like it? And they're like, well, why don't you come around? And they actually let me sit inside the driver's side of the Cybertruck. I'd never sat inside a Cybertruck. So they actually let me sit inside it. And my son-in-law sat in the passenger seat. And I was like, should I ask them if I could take this for a test drive? Should I push it a little bit more? But when you're inside a Cybertruck, it is amazing. On the outside, I'm like, that truck looks ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. It's ugly. And then when you're inside, you're like, this isn't so bad. This is kind of nice. I don't mind this truck. I would have it if that special guy came by and said, "Hey, would you like a Cybertruck?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure. Sure. It's a nice truck." But now, after this event, and they're still trying to figure out if this is connected to New Orleans. I think it is. I think it was connected to New Orleans. I think they're just going to uncover a little bit more over the next couple of days. Like, we're actually heading into the weekend. So I expect more coverage tomorrow, more breaking news, and then Friday as well, just to get us into the weekend. Lots of stuff going on with this. I think they're going to unpack some stuff. But one thing that's interesting as well, and we'll go back to the interview, is they'd mentioned that this Cybertruck was rented from this company here. I'll show you this here. This is Turo, Turo. And if you want a Cybertruck, this is where you go and rent it. So they make it, their whole thing is just to make it easy. You can rent a car just about anywhere. So people, what people do is they'll actually put their vehicles up. It's almost like Airbnb, really. So if you have a vehicle in good condition, you can actually put your vehicle up for rental. And the Cybertrucks go for about $1,000 a day. $1,000 a day. So let's just have a look. Let's see if we can find a Cybertruck here. Let's see if we can have a look around. Oh, this is interesting. So the Corvette here is available in Calgary. These are where all the places where all these vehicles are. That's interesting. Huh. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Look at all these vehicles here. They're all over the place here. You can rent any of these. So whenever you click over a vehicle, these are people renting these vehicles out. Let's see if there's any Teslas. Vehicle type right here. Let's go over here. SUVs, trucks. What makes? Gotta be Tesla. No results. Okay, so no Cybertrucks. I've only seen one, maybe two Cybertrucks. So let's go back to this press conference here. Let's have a look at what this guy says here.
What I also would like you to pay attention to on that video, as you see that, it looks like the exterior of that truck is completely intact as it sits there. The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside of the valet, because it had most of the blast go up through the truck and out. In fact, if you look on that video, you'll see that the front glass doors at the Trump hotel were not even broken by that blast, which they were parked directly in front of. You can see that in the video there. What I will update, I'm very well aware that there's a name already been reported out into the media. I am not going to confirm any names to you as I sit here today, because I cannot do that with 100% certainty of who the individual is. What I can tell you is we do know the truck was.
Let's just see here. It doesn't look like. Let's see. Can you guys still see me here? Just having technical issues on my side here. I think you guys could still see me. Let me just see here. Oh, yes. Here we go. Okay. Thought I lost the feed for a second here. All right. So let's go back to these guys here. Cool. All right. Let's go back to the press conference here. And then if you guys have any questions, or if there's something that you think I'm missing, or something here that you want me to talk about in regards to this Tesla Cybertruck explosion, let me know that in the comments.
Rented in Colorado. We're able to trace that truck through the Tesla charging stations, and it arrived here in Las Vegas this morning at about 7:30 and went up and down Las Vegas Boulevard before immediately pulling into the Trump Towers. Unfortunately, there were 7 people that reported injuries during this incident. All of them still remain as minor injuries and were treated at UMC. I would like to thank the Resorts World, because, as you know, we had to close down the Trump and evacuate it, as well as the Fashion Show Mall. And the Resorts World was very gracious in taking those hundreds of individuals in over there, housing them and feeding them prior to us being able to completely clear the hotel. The hotel and Fashion Show are back open for business. The Trump will remain closed as we continue this lengthy investigation as we move forward. I'm going to yield now to Chief Billy Sam.
What kind of stands out to me a little bit here, and I hate to be that conspiracy guy, but you are on a channel that's called Black Swan Revelations. So what's interesting is they got there, it seemed like in like 4 minutes, like record earth-shattering time. And maybe that's normal in Vegas, especially around the Trump Tower. People weren't necessarily hurt. Like they said, 7 people. The windows were intact. There's fireworks in here, which is kind of weird when you think about it. It's kind of weird because it's January 1st, and I've never heard of a terrorist buying fireworks hoping to take out a building. That part's confusing to me. And you saw the truck itself. The truck itself was intact. Like it was a big explosion. I don't think the guy to the right, when we look at the screen where the explosion, I don't think they planned on anyone being there. And again, not trying to go conspiracy here, but I'm really trying hard to think outside the box. I'm trying hard to use my spidey sense here. You have a terrorist that wants to make an impact, make a splash, and you're using fireworks in a Tesla Cybertruck, which is designed basically to stop bullets. And we saw the presentation where Elon Musk gave a guy one of those bearings, so steel bearings, and the guy hit the window and it shattered. But what most of the public don't know is they had actually tried it a few times before, just so they can know how hard to toss it at the window without breaking it. And the guy didn't do anything different, but I think because it had been hit a few times in practice, that the 3rd or 4th time it actually broke. And I still remember watching that, and I'm like, oh man, Tesla sales are just going to go right down. And nope, they went right up. Everybody, I even wanted to put a deposit on a truck. I think it was a $50 deposit for a Cybertruck before they were manufactured. And these trucks have only been out since 2023. So if you are worried about competitors, because there is a Chinese competitor, forget the name of their company, but you'll hear about them. They're basically following close behind Tesla right now with their electric vehicles. They're neck and neck right now in China. Now we see Tesla stocks falling before the New Year break. And you have this, and it looks like this police officer said the Cybertruck is virtually intact, like it should have blew out all the windows and all this. Suddenly he's an explosive expert. So I'm trying to really start piecing this stuff together. Like why would you, let's just say you're Elon, let's say this is your company. Would it be beneficial to pull up in front of your buddy's place where he can kind of control the area a little better? Would it be beneficial to your organization to have it loaded with like 80% fireworks so you can cause a big ruckus, if you will, but yet small enough that you're not going to damage the building and hurt anybody inside, like kill people? But if it's autonomous, you could almost say the driver died inside the vehicle and we would just let it go. But if it's completely autonomous and you can press the summon feature and you're inside the Trump Hotel, you can cause that thing to go off just like that. And then you get the fire department there. I've never seen a tarp like that. Did you see that fire retarded? What is it? Retardation? Some kind of a tarp that they had that they rolled over the Tesla vehicle to suppress it. I've never seen that done with vehicles before. This must be something new. And how fast they reacted. I'm interested to see what happens. Like if you're a Tesla owner right now of shares, I would watch the stock market tomorrow morning at opening bell at 8:30 or 9:30. If the stock prices start to plummet down to 300 or 200, I would buy all day long. Why? Because they're going to turn it around. Elon Musk is famous for turning businesses around when you least expect it. His shareholders were double, triple, quadruple overnight. They'll be rich. If he can't do this, it's a bad look for his company. It's a bad look for his organization to have vehicles like the Cybertruck being rented out. It's just a bad look, especially if you can load it up and you got tinted windows. I think that's the wrong customer base. I don't think you want to rent out your Cybertruck at $1,000 a day to just make money off of it, because it's going to hurt your reputation. I think it's better off to have people that want to buy the Tesla for 100 grand or 150. I would say you can't rent Cybertrucks anymore. If anybody has a Cybertruck that they want you to rent, you won't be able to do it. I don't know, it's probably impossible to do that, but for sure you can somehow make these companies like Turo say, no, Cybertrucks aren't allowed because we're under investigation, whatever it is. Like Tesla's is trying to improve its security features and all kinds of stuff. This is something that can cause the United States to go into a bit of a frenzy. It wouldn't shock me, and I was talking about this in November. I was saying, I'm surprised after the election that you guys aren't in a lockdown. I was surprised. It would take something like this, again, to fulfill the criteria for a Black Swan event. You need 3 criteria, and you can argue 4. I inserted the 4th criteria. But the first 3 are, it has to be highly improbable, highly unlikely, unpredictable. You can't predict it. The second thing is that it has to change the way the world operates tomorrow, meaning for the company Tesla, meaning for Trump Tower, meaning for how people approach these cars that are run off of AI, all this kind of stuff. Things could change tomorrow. There could be a crackdown starting tomorrow on this type of thing. And then the third thing is you use hindsight bias to explain it away and basically say, well, we should have saw this coming. It was January 1st. We should have known. Then on January, something was going to happen because it's New Year's Day. Don't know. But they'll try explaining it. And then the fourth thing that usually happens, and this is, I would call this is the residue after a Black Swan event, is that people think every hotel is going to be under attack moving forward by Cybertrucks. Therefore, it changes the way Trump Plaza, Trump hotels, the Trump organization operates in front of the building. And it'll cost them millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to protect the front part of their organization. And they may not need it because a Black Swan never happens the same way twice. It's like lightning. It's actually less than lightning. Like if you think it's easy to get struck by lightning twice, or if you think it's hard to get struck by lightning twice in one spot, it's even harder to predict a Black Swan twice in a row at the same place at the same time. Cybertruck, Trump Tower in front of Las Vegas. It's in front of Las Vegas. It's never going to happen again. It's never going to happen again. So what I'm expecting tomorrow is an overreaction, because that's part of the Black Swan. The DNA of a Black Swan is you have to over calibrate. So for example, this happened here in Canada. 9/11 happened. 3 planes are smashing into buildings, allegedly smashing into buildings. They were smashing, but I'm just saying allegedly because I'm a conspiracy guy. Buildings are being bombarded by 737, 747 jets. And the United States of America was so afraid of these planes that they thought every plane had terrorists on it. That's the overreaction. How do I know they overreacted? Because they sent all those dang planes to Canada, to us. If you're worried about terrorists being on those planes and they're going to blow them up, why would you send them to us, and why did we land them all? Not one terrorist on those planes. So that's what happens during a Black Swan event. Pearl Harbor, 1942. The Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor, took out their main military base, Navy base, caught them asleep at around this time, at Christmas time. Was it December 7th, a day of infamy? And the United States, I believe, overreacted because they did not want to go into war. You can argue and say that the United States is a warmongering nation, that they want to get into every war, but let's just pretend for a second that they didn't want to go into World War II. We know historically that Japan was on the brink of a financial collapse, that they couldn't keep going with the war. We know this. So if the U.S. mounted a different kind of an attack, instead of bombing the heck out of Hiroshima, and Nagasaki, or whatever the 2 nations are. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, I think. They already took out 4 of their carriers, and I don't think they had any more. They decimated their Navy. I would argue that the U.S. didn't have to go in there because they lost their Navy. They are already going to lose the war. So instead, what they did was they decided, we're going to bomb these 2 civilian cities and kill thousands of people. That will make them stop right away. I think it was an overreaction. You can argue and say, well, they attacked our military base, so that gives us the right to go after civilians. If that's how you think, that's on you. Okay, I'm just saying that this is what happens with the Black Swan event. You overreact. Every single door on every airplane that went into the cockpit got locks on it. Do you know how many hundreds of millions of dollars that would cost to do that on every plane? Do you know how much money it would cost to have a U.S. Marshal on every plane for the rest of eternity? It's an overreaction. It's an overreaction. That's what happens with Black Swan events. So I'm expecting, if this is a Black Swan event, there should be a volatility in the market tomorrow morning at 8:30 when the New York Stock Exchange opens up. There should be a reaction if this is a true Black Swan event. If it isn't, then that won't happen, and Donald Trump won't overreact with his company, and Elon Musk won't overreact, and the prices of Tesla will stay exactly the same. Then it's not a Black Swan. But if the prices dip at 8:30 in the morning, and then there's a correction in the afternoon or the next day or the next week or whatever, where prices go to like 1,000, that's an overreaction, because obviously the Cybertrucks they didn't just quadruple in value because of an explosion with fireworks. This wasn't a legitimate explosion, as in they didn't have fertilizer and all this stuff, because we know with the Unabomber and all this stuff that basically you could take out almost an entire building. This didn't even get past a truck. So you can argue it went up, but there was fireworks going everywhere. And then at the same time, basically hours earlier in New Orleans, you get another person renting a vehicle from the same app. And I don't want to blame it on Turu, but it's kind of weird. It's kind of coincidental. And then this guy mows down people while they're celebrating New Year's Eve. It's brutal. It's brutal. All right, so let's get the countermeasures here. They attacked our military base on a Sunday, which back then was a special day of worship, and Japan knew it. I don't think USA overreacted. Well, think about it for a second. I'm not trying to defend the Japanese. I'm not trying to defend them. But they did attack a military base. And usually in a time of war, when tensions are really high, for some strange reason, they decided to park all their planes close together. And that's not normal. For some strange reason, they had all their destroyers lined up. That's not normal as well. So it's kind of, it's almost like they caught the United States of America with their guard down. They were asleep at the wheel. That's all I'm saying. And so they overreacted by not only doing the Doolittle bombing raid thing, but dropping these bombs on these two civilian populated places. And I think that's an overreaction. Killing one civilian by a military is an overreaction in my books. If a U.S. soldier walks up to a civilian and shoots them unarmed, that's an overreaction. Taking a bomb to kill thousands of people, that's an overreaction. We wouldn't like that done to us. Let's not be hypocritical here. I don't want any bombs dropping on us because my government does something to another nation. I don't want that happening. You guys don't want any bombs, any drones dropping bombs, blowing up your buildings, or any of that kind of stuff with civilians in it. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants that. So we have to look at this for what it is. It was an overreaction. I think there could have been other ways to end the war in World War II. They were already on the brink of ending it. They lost their Navy, 4 carriers. Do you know how hard it is to get a carrier in that time? It's crazy. It's crazy, man. It's just my humble opinion. I don't think you're allowed to overreact by killing people, innocent people. I don't think you're allowed to do that. kind of stand by that. I don't like the idea of armies killing innocent civilians. I don't like it in any country. Sorry. I'm not comfortable with that idea, because unless you're telling me everyone on that island, the entire army was worshiping Jesus with their hands held high, and they told the Japanese, don't come here because there's a rule that in World War II, you're not allowed to go and attack any military base on a Sunday. I don't think there's a rule like that. So it's kind of a weak argument to say that, because they were probably going off to celebrate and relax and shore leave and party and whatever it is. They did not want to enter the war. But suddenly, after their base gets attacked, now they want to enter the war. Just my humble opinion. Let's see here. It was because of the action of the U.S. that we were considered a superpower and willing to go use an atomic bomb. That kept many nations from attacking the U.S. Okay. So I don't want to get into an argument here, but it was because of the action. So I think what you're saying is, if we drop a big bomb, that'll change everybody's mind about attacking us. When there was a little balloon that came over Canada and the US and nobody knew what to do. And for a month and a bit, there were drones all over the place, all over New Jersey. Nobody knows what to do with that. 9/11 happened with arguably your own planes crashing into buildings. So somebody's not afraid of America. It doesn't matter. To me, all it does is it agitates people. It gets people more angst, more angry. You can't tell me that in the world, Americans are more loved because they dropped a couple of atomic bombs on people. You can't say, oh, yeah, we're loved everywhere. You might be feared more. But so is Russia. They didn't drop any bombs on anyone. And whenever Putin threatens the United States, everybody's like, oh, hang on here. This is serious, because Putin could push his button, and he's never done it. As far as I know, he hasn't dropped a bomb on Japan or anything. Obviously, they're going to war, Ukraine, back and forth. But what I'm trying to say is, people fear Putin just as much as they do the United States. They fear China just as much. People are scared of China, going, they're going to invade Taiwan any day. They're building up. Look at how many people they have in their army, all kinds of stuff. They're not dropping bombs everywhere. They never dropped a bomb in America. You don't think people are afraid of China? North Korea, always threatening, always threatening. So I think because you dropped a bomb on someone, that actually just agitates things. I think there is a better way to do it. I think there's a better way. I don't think bombing civilians is the right way to go. And that's just me. Maybe it's because I'm a Canadian. I don't like armies bombing civilians. I don't like landmines going to Ukraine for Ukraine to use against Russians, because usually what happens is children actually end up stepping on these landmines. Landmines should be banned as far as I'm concerned. I will die on a hill. There's no use for landmines, ever, ever. I will die on that hill. You cannot convince me that it's okay to blow up children's legs, blow their legs off of them, because you're trying to convince that country that you're more powerful. I'm not going to buy it. I don't accept it for 1 second. Heat waves, a bomb gives off also in 1945. All right, what are we talking about here? Think about this. The bomb was rarely used. You use atomic bomb, the flyer cannot return to its place. That's why the enormous heat of such a bomb destroys the plane. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Let's see. I think respect may have something to do with Putin. The USA has become, yeah, and I think I think maybe that's my point, is there's a way to have leadership where people can respect your country. Like, they don't respect our country because of our leader, Prime Minister Trudeau. He's actually a joke wherever he goes. People are always whispering under their breath, talking under their breath about him. They don't respect our leader. This is why your leader can throw out pot shots and say, why don't you guys just be the 51st state in America? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. We do have pride here. We have dignity. We have a culture in Canada that we love that is different from the Americans. We're different and we're special. We like our country. We like our freedom. We don't have to carry guns on every doorstep. We don't have to do that. Like, we can go around and you don't have to worry that somebody's going to shoot you on every corner. Like, we love our country. It's a beautiful country. We have mountains. We don't need to be the 51st state to function. We don't. We're an energy-rich nation. We have a lot of natural resources, a lot more than China. I think there's a way that we can be friends between Canada and United States, and you don't need to threaten us with 25% tariffs. We're not the bad guy. We're always trying to be like you guys with Hollywood and all this kind of crazy stuff. We like all your sports teams, all this kind of stuff. So I think there's a way to work at it. Threatening us doesn't help. Doesn't help. All it does is it just increases the prices on both sides of the border, and it'll just create a price war. It will, because we have wood as well. We have all kinds of natural resources. We can have other trading partners. We can trade with Mexico. We can trade with China. We can trade with Japan. We can trade with other countries in the world. We don't have to just trade with the United States of America. So let's just work with each other. We got the largest unprotected border in the world. So why can't we just work with each other? Why the threats of being a 51st state? Just my humble opinion. Let's see here. What else do we have? Creates a vacuum. Not sure what you're saying. All right, let's see here. No one is afraid of the U.S. Yeah, like, I think they still are, but I think when Trump gets in, it'll be, I think it'll be a different thing. Like, I've read all his books. Like, I have all his books. So I've done my homework. I've read Elon Musk's autobiography. I've done the research to know that you have to take Trump seriously. You can't just say, well, he's not going to do whatever he says that he's going to do. If he says that he wants to end the war in Russia and Ukraine in a day, I think because you guys are a world superpower, you could deploy enough resources, but I don't know if that's the right way to go either. That's why I'm not the president of the United States. He is. He can make all those tough decisions. Let's see. Did you see the 4 lightning strikes? 2 in D.C. and 2 in New York City? No, I did not. I tried to look that up, but I couldn't find anything. Was it like a specific building? Because I know, believe it or not, there are lightning strikes all over the world happening at different times, but I'm assuming you're saying that these are really specific, like perhaps hitting a building or something. So otherwise, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Let's see. Anything else here? Yeah, so who knows? Again, this is why I make this channel. I used to call this channel Black Swan Diary because I want to just document as to what's going on and what people are thinking. And I think on day one when I saw this, I'm like, oh, that's horrible. And then as the hours go by, I'm like, fireworks? That's kind of a weird weapon, is to use fireworks to cause harm, unless you're trying to make a statement, cause panic or something in the market. I don't know. Time will tell, but I think tomorrow will be interesting. I'm going to definitely watch the stock market a little bit. I'm going to pay attention to it during the day just to see what it's doing, especially following Tesla to see what their shares are at. And again, right now, I don't know if I have, do I have it? Yeah, so right now, shares are at 403.84. 403.84. I'm expecting the shares to go down to like 300 tomorrow, unless Elon Musk has a press conference, then I can see them go back up. But if I was a Tesla owner of shares, I own a bunch of shares, I think this would be a time where I would watch the prices go down, and then I'd buy a whole bunch of more shares. I just would, because Elon, again, has some way of bouncing back. But that's it for today's video. I hope you got something out of this. I think pay attention in the next couple of days as to what is coming down via the news in regards to this investigation, with who this person is, why he did what he did, all this kind of stuff. I think the next few days is going to be quite interesting. So thanks again for hanging out, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.